hours. I saw the Firefly come into our prep meeting, and I was like, look at us with our AI meeting people.
You know what? It took me a while to get used to I call him Fred, Firefly Fred. But if you know, if you're in a meeting with a client and you're doing a web, like it's so many people are now, they're having a glass of wine at home, you're chatting to them, and you have that. You don't have to keep notes. You can actually just focus and keep their attention and talk to them and know that you've got this sort of summary afterwards. It's really quite brilliant.
Yes. Yeah, I've been using for just a couple.
Can you tell me what you use, Joe? Sorry, did you say Firefly?
Yeah, fireflies.ai is one. Yeah, and after a meeting, you'll get an email like within 5 minutes saying, here's a summary of your meeting. You can click on it and it'll say, you know, Joe and Kinga talked about Fireflies AI and recommended they use it for taking meeting notes and all that. But it'll give you like a transcript. It'll give you video chunks and all this sort of stuff. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I use mine's different. It's called Read Assistant AI, and it's very similar. I'm obsessed with it because it gives me like my tasks after a meeting. It gives me snippets to use on social media, and then it just really summarizes it so well that I don't have to sit there and type, right? And then these meetings, because they're longer, my Read AI assistant only does an hour of for a meeting. And these sometimes go over an hour. So I usually record, but I've been hitting transcript lately. And then you can turn it into a blog. You can do whatever, right? That once you have the words and the data. But okay, guys, let's get started. So today we're welcoming the fabulous Joe Tomkins from Lendesk. What did I say in my post? And you were like, oh, it was
something I've never been called before. It was really good.
So as you guys know, I am, I would say, a fairly new Finmo user, and I've just been blown away with some of the features that it has, obviously on the marketing side of things, as far as being able to integrate easily with different softwares, but as well as like the white label functions. And then when I found out about the smart docs, I was pretty amazed at this feature, just because I've always been the type of person who had a checklist and an email template that went out to every single client that I would adjust per client based on if they were separated or self-employed or it was a purchase or a refinance, because I never wanted to miss anything, right? So I had this like master list and had to do it. And then I found out Finmo did it all based on my deal, like whatever the applicant did in the deal, and I was just like blown away. So anyways, when I joined my brokerage and I learned more about Lendesk, I did a couple of those free discovery calls. So if you haven't seen those, you definitely want to chat with Joe and Lendesk about that, just to learn more about the platform, because you'll be blown away, as I was, in some of the features that you just didn't even know about. So with that, I will give the floor to Joe, and he can show us a little bit about the platform, the ins and outs, and what to expect with this awesome feature.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Sarah. Hello, everyone. Some of you probably I've met before, and for those I haven't, it's great to meet you. Yeah, my job at Lendesk and for Finmo is I'm the technical trainer. I'm an integration specialist. I help brokers learn how to connect Finmo to other systems. But I've been in the broker industry since 2003, when I came in with my brother as a clean up his digital mess that he had with fax machines and a new thing called emailing documents to lenders. And so with him, I just helped him organize his data and work through it. And being a geek, I loved it. But then I loved the mortgage industry, so I got licensed. So I've been licensed for over 20 years now. So a lot of the stuff I talk about is just so excited. And when I was approached by Finmo in 2018 to, hey, check out this new application system we're building, I'm like, great, another one. Right, another shiny thing to distract me from doing deals. And I thought, okay, well, I'll try it for sure. And I knew the people that were developing it, so I dove in. And that's when I started seeing like, oh, it is a lot different. It's really good. It's really focused on the client. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen before I start talking about stuff I think I'm presenting. And there we go. And so when I started using it, I was like, oh, this is great. And I sent out 5 applications, and I got 5 applications back completed. I'm like, okay, that's weird. That hasn't happened before. But the real thing that really got me sort of realizing that I had to switch from the system I was using to using Finmo was when I had an older couple, and I don't want to stereotype technical abilities for people who are older. I have a mother-in-law who is technically challenged, and not everybody is technically challenged. However, I approached it that way. They were early 70s, late 60s couple, they're downsizing, and I sent them my application link on Finmo, and I said, hey folks, I said, as you do the application, Finmo, my system is going to read the answers. So the more complete of an application you do, and then you submit it back to me, you're going to be presented with a list of the documents I need to get you approved. Now it's a list, it's a big list because of, you know, your income types, but the system will show you, and you can upload them right there, or you can just use it as a guide, and you can drop them off at my office if you want, or email them to me. You know, I gave them all the options that clients want to have for providing us with documents. And, you know, fingers crossed, off we went. 2 hours later, I had a full application and 95% of the documents uploaded into it. And this is a true story. I can even pull up the clients' names. And I sat back and went, holy crap, this changes everything. Like, because it just did. It just blew me away. And then it kept on happening. Now, not every client uploaded documents within 2 hours, but it just started happening where I was getting applications, and then poof, they'd upload their ID, a pay stub. It's like, weird. Like, this is really good. And so how do we do it? So I'm going to get into the technical details. I've got an application started online pretending to be a client, but I want to show you the technical details first on Finmo. So to get started, this is the dashboard. I'm going to go to here, to my team settings on Finmo. So the team settings in Finmo, we have Smart Documents here, and we have the document library. Smart Documents are set up under these headers here. So we have general, income, property, assets, and personal status. These are all the different sections of a mortgage application. The general is, hey, well, what do I need for every client every single time? Well, for every client on every mortgage application, I need 2 main forms of identification. Pretty straightforward. If the borrower has found a property, they're buying a place, it's a purchase. Well, I want a purchase offer, MLS feature sheet in British Columbia, I want a property disclosure statement, whatever it may be. And so as you go through this, you get to income, and let's say, okay, the borrower has regular full-time employment income. What do I want? You know, what lenders do I work with most? What do they ask for? And so let's say right now I'm asking for a letter of employment and a pay stub. I don't want 2 years T4s though. I don't want to inundate the client. So I get rid of the 2 years T4s and I save it. When you first set up your Finmo account and you come into here, these smart documents are on, and we do have them set to a base level. So myself and there was another broker on our team a long time ago, we kind of went through and said, yeah, this is a good level that won't scare people. But every year I come in and I update the CRA documentation to make sure we've got the next year's CRA documents ready for you to choose and add. So when it does come time for the new year and you want to add remove a previous year's tax thing, you do that. So now how do you do it? So easy. I'm going to go ahead and save changes. So let's say the borrower's income receives bonus, overtime, or commission. So depending on what you want to ask for, you can just come over here and say, okay, well, I want 2022 in a way, and 2023 in a way, and save changes. So that's how easy you can add in a condition here. Now, there's no redundancy. So if I'm asking for an NOA here, and I'm asking for it here, it's not going to ask for 2022 NOAs, and it's smart enough to know that it's already asked for it. So as you go through these smart conditions, the answers to the application are on the left here, and the documents you're requesting are on the right. And as you scroll through, so say let's say assets. If the borrower is saying they're using their checking or savings account for the down payment, an important one to ask for is a 90-day statement or a 12-month. 12 months of bank statements. Save changes. I can have both there, or I can just ask for one of them. Both of these, 90 days and the 12-month bank statements, are added to our feature, our bank account scraping feature. And that can be found in here in the documents section under bank documents. If you have a credit card on Finmo, and you enable bank document polls, when a client says they're using their savings or checking account for the down payment, the smart document rules are going to say, okay, in the asset section, the client is using their checking or savings for the down payment, I'm going to ask for a 12 months bank statement. And it gives them the option, and I'm going to show it to you shortly, to either provide them to you themselves or log into their bank account and get them. So like I mentioned, in here, answers to the application are down the left-hand side, and the documents you want are on the right-hand side. You only typically have to come in a couple times as you're just getting set up on Finmo to set the rules right. So how does it work when you're doing a deal? So I've started the deal for 𝗺cie Smith, and it's in borrower editing mode, and that's the application I'm going to show you shortly. But if you are doing an application on the phone with the client, someone calls you, and 𝗙𝗲, I'm going to use you, you're going to be my demo client. So let's say 𝗙𝗲 calls me, and she wants to do a mortgage application for a refinance. I go ahead and I click on continue, and I enter in 𝗙𝗲's name. I'm going to make you a Jones today, and I put in your email address, and I put in your phone number. Now, remember, on Finmo, you can use our texting feature. It's free. It's included in Finmo. So if you want to invite a borrower to start a mortgage application, you're basically sending them your link to begin an application. This is how you would do it. You would invite the borrower to create an account, and you would send them a copy via SMS to confirm their email address. But in this case, I'm doing the application on the phone with 𝗙𝗲. So I click on continue. And she said she's doing a refinance. And I create a brand new deal. Smart documents are already working. And I'm going to show you that. But Janet, you have raised a hand. Go for it. You're muted, Janet.
What if you don't have the client's email address?
You can just make a fake email address. So if you're, sorry, go ahead.
You can? Okay, this is good.
Yeah.
I need to hear this. Sometimes I put mine in there and then that backfires.
Well, here's a cheat I learned about. I can't remember when I learned this, but this was like one of those moments that I'm so proud of. If you have a Gmail account, if you have a Google Workplace email account, there's a little cheat. And you saw what I did for 𝗙𝗲's email when I had my pretend client, 𝗙𝗲. I did Joe plus 𝗙𝗲 at finmo.ca. So Joe at finmo.ca is a Google hosted email account. That little plus sign allows you to add anything after it to create an alias email account that will always come back to Joe at finmo.ca. So if you're using Gmail and then say it's joe@gmail.com, I would put Joe plus test deal at gmail.com. Or if I have a fake client, I would put Joe plus name at gmail.com. That way, it'll allow me to move through the system. It's just a cool little cheat. It was developed. It was made for developers, so they didn't have to create multiple email accounts to always be testing things out. So I got geeky. I'm sorry, Sarah. Okay, so moving through. So as I started an application, my smart documents are already working. I'm on the phone. I'm doing the application on the phone with 𝗙𝗲. And if I go to the document section, the smart documents are already working. It's a void check and 2 main forms of ID. Those are the general rules that I ask every client for. I have to have it. As I update the application, so I'm going through the application, and let's give 𝗙𝗲 a job. Let's say she's employed. She's in the RCMP in Canada, and she's working out of Regina. And as soon as I save this income, so let's say she's government, she is a professional, she is a sergeant. Did I spell it right? I always spell it wrong. And she's on salary, and she makes $165 a year annually. And let's say no to overtime. And she's been doing it longer than 3 years. Current source of income, yes. As soon as I click on save, the documents have updated. Letter of employment and a pay stub because she's working a full-time job. So those are suggestions. But for the other client now, I'm going to go back to my main deal screen. I had a conversation with Jose Smith earlier, and he says, "Hey, Joe, I'm at the office. Can you just send me your application link?" For sure. I clicked on new deal. I started a new application, and I invited Jose in. Jose received an email, and the email, he had a login link, so he logged in and he went into his application. So I'm going to go, now I'm pretending to be Jose, my client. So I'm on my consumer application, pretending to be Jose Smith, my client. And I have 7 steps to complete. So he's already done a bunch of work on here, and he's gone through. He's at the consent stage. He still has full editing ability on all the sections, so he can jump around and he can add income. Maybe he forgot to add his pension income, so he jumps in here and he puts in pension, 12,000, say 13,000 annually, and he started getting it in 2016, so he puts his pension income in there. Is this a current source of income? Yes. Hide this income? Sure, whatever, I'll hide it. So now he has 2 sources of income. And then he goes back to the consent. Your clients cannot move forward and submit the deal on Finmo back to you unless they have read and signed your consent. Once they check this box and they give consent, you are going to get an email immediately, and that email will say, Jose Smith's credit consent has been signed. But now he is on the last step. So he clicks finish. So now at the last step here, he still has full editing ability on it. And I'm missing the Q&A questions. I'm not used to that, Sarah. Sorry. It's a new angle thing. You go to Q&A.
No, that's me putting stuff in so that I can ask you questions after.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. So at this stage, the client has finished the mortgage application. You might have updated him, asking him to submit it. But now he can go ahead and he can put his comments in here. Thank you. And you let him know, hey, Jose, as you do this mortgage application and you work through it, my system is reading your answers. So when you get to the final stage and you click on finish and submit, you're going to be presented with a list of documents I need from you to get you approved. I can't submit your deal without these documents. They're super important. Now, some people say, well, if it's a pre-approval, I don't want to show the client all the documents that are required. I come from the side of things where they're better to be fully informed up front and know that, hey, when you do make an offer, I'm going to need all of these documents from you. For now, for your pre-approval, just send me your 2-year T4s or whatever it is that you want to ask them for. So when the client gets to this stage and they say, okay, finish and submit, they are immediately presented the complete list of documents that they have to provide you to get approved for this mortgage. The key thing is that these documents are all based on how they answer the questions, like Sarah said at the outset. So some of the things we have to have on every deal, like a void check. But he's buying a place, so we need a signed purchase offer, copy of the MLS, property disclosure statement here in BC, 2 main forms of ID, 12 months of bank statements. And here's where I have my online bank account scraping going. So as a client, I have the ability to, first of all, read the description, the tip, and how to obtain it. I can upload the documents myself if I want to, or I can go ahead and pull e-statements from my bank. So I click on Start, and Flinks, our partner, or F-Links, however you want to call it, they ask you, are you okay with all this? Yes. And then you look for your bank, your credit union, whomever it is that you want to log in with, and you enter in your username and password, and the bank will ask you all the security questions like you're checking your bank account in Mexico on holidays, and it'll confirm, and then you go in and choose checking or savings account. Choose that account, and then the system will pop up and say, are you sure? Are you finished? Do you want to provide a 12-month bank statement to Joe Tomkins from this account? Yes, please. And the client clicks on finish. And as soon as they click on finish, those 12 months of bank statements get put directly into your deal. I'll show you what it looks like on the back end. I have a test one. But it's a really good, and for a cost of $2, you know you're getting the documents directly from the bank right into that deal. What I like about this is I have the opportunity to speak to enterprise, to speak to our lender partners quite a bit. And they talk about fraud and security, and then they talk about what they want to talk about. And it's always fraud and security, and fraud and security, and that's all, it's the number one thing. And when the documents come directly in from the bank through Flinks into the deal here, they love it because they know it's less hands on these documents, less touching of the documents, less chance for fraud. Janet, go for it. You're muted too. There you go.
Are you continually adding lenders to that? Because you said credit unions, but I'm not sure what credit unions you have on there. Because
there's so many in here. It's Flinks that adjusts it, so you can look for. You can search for the credit union. So I'll get this pop up here, and you can type in, credit union, and it'll pull in all the different credit unions that have access. So there's so many in here.
I think you're missing some of the ones from BC.
It's not us. It's Flinks that's our partner that provides the connection to the banks. There might be. I think someone asked about Coastal Community Credit Union. Coastal Community. Let's look for that. I think they're on here. Coastal Community Credit Union. So they're there. So yeah, you have to do a proper search. But I haven't gone through and done an actual tally of how many. But Flinks is always adding new partners for connections. Yeah. So these documents, as presented. So now if your client is on a smart device, mobile phone, iPad, whatever they are, this is an iPhone 14, it works. So your client can come into here and they can say, oh, 2 pieces of ID. Well, I'll just grab my ID and take a picture of it on my smartphone. They can do that. And they can upload image files. They can upload PDF files. They can upload Microsoft Office files. So let's go to documents. Let's go to my demo docs. And I'm going to grab my ID and upload it. They can upload 1 item. They can upload 2 items. They could, these are JPEG files. I click save and upload. When I have uploaded this document as 𝗀𝗍 Smith, it marks it as in review down here at the bottom, so it highlights it yellow. All the rest of the documents are all pertaining to my job, to my income, to the house that I own. They want an insurance binder on it, property tax statement, whatever you want to ask for. So now on here, I can, as a client, I can jump into here and I can go ahead and I can add in multiple items inside of each condition. And clients will be clients, and they're going to upload their notice of assessments into the void check location. It's just a given. And so we have to just breathe our way through it and deal with it. What we've done on Finmo is try to make it as easy as possible for you to manage them. And I'm going to show you that in a second. But what happened now is the client has uploaded these documents after they were flipped from the application. So now this application that they were editing is locked. They can no longer edit it. They were presented with the list of documents they need to provide you to get approved. But clients are clients too, and they might just close their phone right when they submit the application. They might just close it and walk away, or close their laptop, whatever it is. So what we've done is when the client does that and the client submits the application, we immediately send them an email on your behalf. And it says, confirmation, your mortgage application has been received. It says, hey, 𝗀𝗍, thanks for submitting your app. We've requested documents for you to upload based on your application responses. So if your client missed that flip over to the document screen, we've got your back with this notification on email right away. They click on it, they put their email and password back in, they go to the document section like, oh, yeah, oh, I guess these documents are really important. This broker must really want them. So it's a great feature just for linking the application through to that document request. And to date, I don't know of any other system that's doing this like this. So is there any questions on the consumer side at all? Ben, go for it.
Questions too.
Hi, Joe. Thank you for this is super helpful. Cool. Quick question is, I've got a lot of clients who I do like investments for and other things. Mm-hmm. If I upload their if I say right off the bat, I'm not inviting them to the application, I fill out all the details that I know, and then I upload the documents, and then I go to the effort of sending it to the client, like the application. Does it show everything is pre-filled to the client where I've uploaded things?
Yeah, you can. I'll show you that. So if you want to, let's do that right now, actually, Ben. This is a great sort of segue. So let's say I'm back in Finmo and I'm working on the deal for 𝗺𝗍 Smith. And I go into 𝗺𝗍's deal, and maybe the realtor, let's say the realtor sent me the contract and the listing, or I had them on hand, whatever it may be. You can see here that the documents that 𝗺𝗍 uploaded are already here for me to review. But let's go ahead and let's say that I had the purchase offer. Now I can just mark it as accepted. That's fine. I can actually upload the document if I want to as the broker. So let me go ahead and upload an MLS listing. I think I have one. There we go. So I'll upload an MLS listing into here. And I'm going to mark it as accepted. And maybe I have the property disclosure statement as well. I can upload it and I can accept it. And then I leave the deal. I'm not going to update the borrower rate. But on 𝗺𝗍's side, if I do a quick refresh now, so I'm back on the consumer side. If I do a quick refresh, the system will automatically adjust. And so if the client is loading stuff and coming back and forth and continuing to do it, they're going to see the progress. So I uploaded the MLS feature sheet in here, but the client can't open it up and take it out. They can't remove it. They can't do anything with it. They're just going to see the progression of it, whether it's accepted, whether it needs attention. And I'll show you it needs attention in a second. So I hope that answered your question right.
So Joe, and it did. The one follow-up question I have is, do I have to click accept for it to show as check marked rather than just dropping in something like on the back side of it? I drop it in and I don't check accepted.
Yes, you do need to mark it as accepted in order for that check mark to appear.
Okay. Nope, that makes sense. I've been doing that wrong this whole time. So good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about in review and stuff too, because that's important. Sarah, you're new here. Go ahead.
I have a couple questions.
Okay.
One was more a question, but I already know the answer to. I'd just like you to go over is if there's documents that you want that aren't in the list, how the agents can create their own custom doc. And add it.
Oh, for sure. So a custom condition to add into smart documents. Yeah, great question. I'll definitely cover that. So let's do that right now. So let's go back to Finmo. And so what Sarah's talking about, let's say you're a commercial, you do the odd commercial deal because you love those apartment deals and they're easy to do. So you want to add a couple custom conditions for a client. So in the team settings, you would go to documents, and I have my document library. The document library are all the conditions that you ask for. And as you can see, I have a number of custom conditions. It's kind of crazy. And I have every condition that we have within Finmo. Now, with each of these custom conditions, you have the ability to duplicate them. So for instance, if you wanted to label your conditions a certain way, I have lots of people that like to label income as income. So I'm going to go ahead and just search for the word income in here. And you can see that I've created some custom documents that income dash date what it is. So whatever it may be. And in order for you to do that yourself, you can go ahead, and I'm just going to clear income out of there. And I would look for 2022 in a way. I want to relabel this. How do I do it? So I would come down to here and I would click on duplicate, and I would type in the word income dash, and then save that custom request. And then I would go to my smart documents, and anywhere I had the 2022 in a way, I would clear the old one, and I would type in income dash 2022. There's my custom condition I just made, and you're able to add that in. So it's labeled the way you want it, set up to ask for things that you want the way you want them. So it's a really cool condition. And I also have my commercial appraisal, commercial mortgage statement, commercial commitment. So whatever documents you need to be able to create, you can do that. And let me show you how to do that. Add my NOA back in there. So back to the document section here. And I'm going to add an additional request. So what I would give it, I have to give it a name, obviously. So I'd call it, commercial, phase 1 environmental. And I'll give a description, what it is. I have to give it a description. I would say provided by the engineer. And I don't have to do a tip. I don't have to do how to obtain it if I don't want to. And I can include French if I want. And then I save that custom request. So now, if I'm in a deal, and let's go back to our deal for 𝗺𝗍 Smith, and I go back into his deal here. I'm in his deal now, and I go to the document screen. He's already uploaded a couple pieces of ID. I know this is a commercial deal, and I know I'm going to need the environmental. So I jump into the new request details here within the deal, and commercial, phase 1 environmental, and I create the request. And it automatically adds that request down here to the client. So yeah, totally customizable. I'm going to go back to Jose's online application, and I just want to see if there's any other questions about the consumer side before I go back to management of documents. Oh, there we go. Jessie would love the option of a quick add to add a one-off document request from the document section when already in client deal under new request. So are you saying just that if I click on new request, a quick add, so like a custom condition right here, Jessie? Is that thinking that's what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because like if you start typing in, let's say like proof of payment or something, and then you see that it doesn't come up, or when that doesn't come up, then I need to go into the create a custom document section, excuse me, to add it, right? So it would be fun to be able to start typing. When you see that it's not there, click the plus and just add whatever it is you need without having to put all of like the how to find this and all that
Brilliant
stuff.
Jessie wins the award of the best suggestion I've had this year. I think that's a fantastic idea. So I want to pause there because this is really, really important about Finmo. And one of the great reasons why I love working here is that we'll listen to people. So with suggestions like this, any sort of suggestions that will have a profound effect on the speed that you can get an application entered, analyzed, documents managed, underwritten, submitted to a lender. If we can speed up the process with stuff like this is what we will look at and go, hey, that's a great idea. How much of a lift? How hard is it for us to be able to build a custom request like this in the document section? So I'll make the suggestion, and then the team will look at it, and they'll come back and they'll say, Joe, can you give us a bit more color about this? Who, why? And we would have a conversation. And so, every couple of weeks we meet and we discuss all the different suggestions about it. And some of them bubble up to the top. Like this one, I think could potentially bubble up to the top, Jessie, because it's a good idea. And so for anybody that has a suggestion like this, all you need to do is click this chat bubble. There's 𝗵𝗏, and I'm going to go back to the beginning here. And I'm going to send a message to 𝗵𝗏, and I know lots of you probably have already used this, and say, hey, 𝗵𝗏, suggestion from Jessie, Valerie. And I would type in your suggestion saying quick add, but I'm not going to do it here. I've actually written it down, and I'm going to enter it properly and send it directly to our product team. But that's what you could do. You could enter that suggestion in here, and the team will say, hey, they'll tell you the same thing. Thanks. I'll raise this up to the product team and let them know. But if you have any suggestions like that and you think they're worthy of being mentioned, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Please send them to me, because I think it's so important that we continue to listen to brokers to make sure that we're making Finmo a system that is developing and evolving to be what you want to use, with the vision of it making a better consumer experience and faster system to get your deals done on. So thank you. Jim has a question. Is there a way to add a picture to the document request so clients know what the document looks like? I wish there was, Jim, because I know there is a system out of the States. I forgot the name right now. It's escaping me. And I've had a number of people that have used it that had given some sort of a preview, but it's very US-based system. So it's not too Canadian friendly. That has been suggested. And what I will do is I'm going to I'm going to add to Jessie's request, and I'm going to add yours. So what happens if something's already been suggested? I'll take your suggestion, and then I just add it to the list, and the product team will say, okay, someone else has asked for this. Maybe we should look at actually building it. Same sort of thing. So thank you for raising that again. Okay, so we've wrapped up notifications quickly. So again, when the client submits the application, they are presented the list of documents right away on Finmo. They're shown this complete list, and we send them the email confirmation saying, hey, don't forget, we need these documents, so we have your back with that. Other notifications happen, of course, when your client submits an application and submits documents with it. Right afterwards, you get this email saying Jose has uploaded new documents for your review. What we have done in Finmo is we have marked those documents as yellow for your review. And on the main deal screen, I'm not going to update Jose yet, it shows 2 of 19 have been uploaded. Now you might have quite a few of these in here that are marked yellow. And what's important to note that within the first 24 hours of the client uploading those documents, if you don't review those and mark them as accepted or needs attention, whatever they may be, the system won't send you another email notification until the 24 hours have run out, unless you come into the documents and you actually review them sometime within that 24-hour period. You jump in and you say, okay, 2 main forms of ID, let's check it out. So you click on the first one, gives you a preview of the ID. Click on the second one, there's a second piece of ID. They look great. I click merge and download as a PDF. Finmo combines both of these image files into one PDF document for me. And what I love is I don't have to label them anymore. They're labeled deal number, client name, what it is. And then, of course, I can download it and save it in my storage for my client files. You can keep the documents on here. As I mentioned, all the documents remain here. They're stored in Canada securely, obviously, and it's across 5 different servers on the AWS network. So it's as secure as we can make it for you. So if the documents are good, I accept them. It takes it from here and moves it down to the accepted side. Under here for the T1 general tax return, I can go ahead and click on this. I get the first one. I see the second one. Okay, so she uploaded, oh, she's uploaded, and he's uploaded everything into here. Awesome. So when you have that has happened where there's a bunch of different documents in here, but you only want to download the T1 general, you can go ahead and hide all the other documents except for the T1. And now I only have these 2 items here. So now I'm only going to download the T1. So I click on that and I download it, and it combines the 2 items together, 3 items, 4 items, 5 items into one document. And then I can mark it as accepted. Or if I want to add them back, I can add them back. And I can hit the little eyeball here and bring those documents back up to here. But they'll always remain here. If there's something wrong with one of the documents, it's like, okay, this is just not right, I'm missing a bunch of pages, I can mark it needs attention saying, hi, Jose. I don't even have to say Jose. This is just a note saying, you know, missing 7 pages of your T1. I'm going to save that note. Now, I've already gone ahead and updated the contract and the MLS and other things on here. Nothing else I have, so I'm not going to make any more changes to the documents here, but I do want to do a couple more things. I want to set the due date. I want to set when I want all these documents by, because this will show up on the client side. But I want to turn on automatic reminders. So automatic reminders, you can set the frequency for how often you want them to go out. Finmo will send 3 out on your behalf as soon as you click set reminders. That is done. But in the meantime, we know that on Friday a reminder is going to go out. But in the meantime, I want to update the borrower. And I'm going to put a little note in here. So I hit enter by Jose's name and say, hey, Jose, here is the updated list. I can send a copy via text and email, and I send an update to the borrower. So immediately, now this is a live account. So this is what your client gets, document update, your mortgage application. It says, hey, Jose, there's the note I put. And it shows a complete list of what's still outstanding. When Jose clicks to log in, he puts his email and password back in. He goes back into the portal. And of course, I am logged out. What's Jose's email? Any demo accounts? There's Jose's. So let's log back into the portal as Jose. And he goes back to the document screen. So now he's back in the portal. He'll see the due date at the top. He's going to see what you have marked needs attention and your note, what you put about that condition. He will also see the progression of what you have accepted on the deal. So it's once you start using Finmo to manage the documents and send messages like this, it does create a lot of efficiencies. First off, from the very get-go, when the client submits the application and links it. But then managing it from Finmo is really good too. Jesse, would it be possible to add the needs attention note to appear when we send update borrowers? Yeah, that's a good question. You can add it in, definitely. But that's another good suggestion, Jesse. We're going to hire you shortly.
Let's take a quick break. I forgot to send out my poll. So
okay.
I launched that, and it takes a second for you guys. Let me know, Joe, when you see it on your end.
I see it.
I just want to know who's using the Smart Docs, who's customized it, who is like, what is Smart Docs? That would be my husband. He's not on the call. He never joins my calls. You guys know I'm bitter about that. So we'll wait for a couple of votes to come in.
Okay, sounds good.
So far, everyone's saying yes, game changer. No, it's great as is. It really is great as is. I do have, if we have time after Joe's done, I have a screen of, I created a demo account for my Broker Pro aside from like our mortgage business, and it came with like as is, but then I did customize it because like Joe said, I'm pretty picky with like how I want the wording to be as well. Even if the document was correct, I still wanted it to say something. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll end the poll because it looks like we only got a couple votes in, but yeah, pretty much everybody. Oh, one person did a last minute vote saying they didn't even know they could customize it. So there you go. Perfect. Show results. I don't know if you want to see the results. There you go. Perfect. You can keep going. I've just, even with the last couple things you did, Joe, lots of things I didn't know you could do from within the platform. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Cool. Chung Nang has a question. Is there a way to be able to see the client side portal to help them navigate? Unless you have their email address and login and their password, you can't. But Chung, what I do recommend, just like what I'm doing right now, you have the ability in your Finmo account to create a practice deal. So for any client, you can make a fake account, use a secondary, use your cheater Google email account, and invite yourself in and get familiar yourself with it. Walk through. So when the client says, well, what do I do here? Okay, just click on, in the portal, you just simply click on upload the document. Yeah, and then choose the file. Okay, great. Now we're on your computer to save it. So you can kind of familiarize yourself with it. That's what I would recommend. Yeah, fake application.
So I did that. And then sometimes like when we get new brokers, I'll tell them to do that. And they're like, oh my God, what a game changer. And it really is, because you can see what emails you end up getting, what they end up getting, and just the notifications along the way, as well as the beautiful portal that they get to see in, which when we have time at the end, I'll show you guys how we can customize those colors.
Yeah, very cool. But is there any questions at all about the document management? And I think it's with doing a fake deal and running through it as a client and uploading documents, you really start to understand like, okay, I see how this works. And in today's world of fraud, and security and everything, we have to present, we have to be like the banks, but we're not. We have access to way more deals. I'm way better. I'm going to answer you way faster, because I'm a mortgage professional. But at the same time, clients do expect us to provide the same level of assurances that the systems we're using in our business are secure and meet certain standards. And you can do that with Finmo. It's SOC 2 Type 2 compliant. You have multi-factor authentication that you can enable, and clients' portal side is password protected. So you can do that, and you can have those conversations with clients, letting them know that, hey, this system is secure. When you do upload your documents in there on your side, it is password protected, and only you have access, and only I can see them, or my assistant who you've met and spoken to, that kind of thing, right? So it's, some clients are fine and easy, and it's not such a big deal. But I think that as brokers, because I know that federal rules are changing and there's going to be stuff coming down the pipeline, that we need to be able to have those conversations and be confident in the conversations when we talk to clients about data security and documents and sharing and all that sort of stuff. It's an important part of what we're doing, and it's ever present in everything. So Jessie, one last question. Any way to automatically have the doc reminders on? No, I'm not going to lie to you on that. No, and there's not. And the reason why I want to talk about the document reminder. So for those that didn't see it, over here, you have the ability to turn on document reminders. And when you do turn them on, you can set the frequency for how often they go. And kind of back and forth on this. And the reason why I came to the side of it's better to be able to just have them, to turn them on manually, is because what we found is a lot of times when a client uploads a document and it's marked yellow over here. So let me go ahead and I'm going to quickly upload a document for this client. When it's marked yellow, you're going to get, first of all, if you've reviewed everything, you're going to get a notification that, you know, Jose has uploaded documents. There we go. Jose's documents require your attention. Within the deal for Jose, when I go into his deal now, it is marked off as in for review, 12 months bank statement. When people are talked about having the reminders on automatically, we found, and we looked at sort of the behavior of people, and people were not adjusting the status. So they weren't coming into here and they weren't reviewing the documents and marking them as accepted or needs attention or whatever it may be. And what we realized is that you don't want these reminders going out and having your client go into the portal and logging in and going, I loaded this up like last week. Why haven't they reviewed it yet? This is weird, right? So it's kind of a best practices thing, just a reminder. When your client does upload something, make sure you review it. Mark it needs attention, accept it, whatever you need to do to that document. Because if the client is logging into the portal, they're going to see your behavior or lack of behavior if you're not reviewing these items. So it's an interesting practice that we see a lot of stuff not getting reviewed. Before I forget though, I want to show you what it looks like when bank statements come up. So I'm going to pull up Mr. Rob Ramage here, and I did a test. And in the document section, I went ahead and I uploaded documents, 12 months of bank statements. And so this came in from a bank account, and I've hidden 9 months of statements, and I only wanted the 12 months showing here. But this is what the statements look like when they come in from Flinks. They are proper statements, and they're actual statements like they got mailed, and you have a hard copy, PDF copy of them in here. And the thing to remember about if you're using the bank account scraping feature called Flinks, I'm going to go here and show you again in the bank documents, is you get the bank statement. So you will get, you know, January, February, March, up to the end of March statements. You're not going to get partway through March. So you still will need to follow up with the clients and say, hey, I need your, you know, April to date statement, please, to that for this account. So, but you'll get the actual official statements into the deal. So that's what they look like. Sarah, anything else? I think
you know, I'm just itching to share some more stuff that I love about Finmo. So
okay.
If anybody has questions on what Joe's gone over and the docs before I move on to a couple more features that I love about Finmo, because we only have 10 minutes left. So I'm being aware of time. But anybody else, hands up, questions for docs? Oh, he already knows what I want. So as a marketing person, it's in my blood to want to make things pretty and match my brand. And I obviously encourage all my clients and brokers, whoever, to customize this. And I've worked at different brokerages in the past where this wasn't possible. And this feature with Finmo is amongst one of my favorites because it allows you to change these colors, as you can see on Joe's screen, to match your brand. And guys, where this is important when we're competing with large banks and we want that professional touch, you can change these to the point. I'll share my mortgage tech one in the chat. Joe can open it so that it matches your brand. And when people land on this, it looks the same, which is important, that it looks the same from your social media to your website and now to your portal, which is huge, right? So it just, again, one of my favorite things. You can see it's totally white labeled. Finmo's been kind enough to remove their stuff from it, which is great in our world, right? I'm a big fan of white labeled stuff. So when people land on this, they're like, oh, wow, this is mortgage tech. Because a lot of them will be like, who is Finmo? Or in my case, you know, I'm with Brick, so who is BRX? And for compliance reasons, it's at the bottom. But you can see a lot of it is in there, and I've done the test and seen that, and the emails come through a little bit more customized as well with the colors and the logos. So definitely update this, guys. So if Joe goes back to that screen, you can play around with the key colors there to do that, and the portal will look different as well, which is really
yeah, it is. And and you can get these codes, right? If you had someone build it, whoever it was, if it wasn't Sarah and her team, you can ask your marketing person, hey, do you have my color codes? And they'll be able to have this actual number here and play with it. Yeah, and don't worry, you can play with it and then like, what have I done? Reset it. Reset it to the defaults, okay?
Oh, and see there, it says open borrower portal. So it'll actually give you a little snippet of what it looks like. And guys, this is like, you know, I like to follow like Rocket Mortgage in the States and like just big names that, you know, I'm like, okay, well, obviously they pay people hundreds of thousands of dollars for their marketing advice. And then I go in and I look at it and I steal all their ideas. And then Finmo's been great at being like, okay, this is exactly kind of what Rocket Mortgage is. I think Rocket Mortgage Canada is actually a client, right? So
they use it.
Like, it really does give you that competitive edge to show off your brand properly, which I obviously love. And the calculators too. So one thing I would suggest too, if you don't have a website or your website needs to be updated or something like that, you can add these links into like a login and right into your website. You can add it, you know, click here to apply now. That's obviously very great. But the other thing too is my website went down 2 weeks ago, I think it was self-inflicted, something I clicked I shouldn't have. And before I got it up and running again, because I wanted to make some edits, I actually just used the Finmo calculators link where Joe is now as my website. So then that way people could navigate, at least it looks great. So this is something, you know, some of the marketing people out there have really moved away from, you know, I'm not going to say the fancy websites, but if you do go to Rocket Mortgage in the States, their main page when you log in now, their lead collector that they put on Google and all this stuff is essentially what Finmo has done here. So that as soon as the client and the consumer clicks here, it gives them a next step, like, do you want to apply? Do you need to purchase? You have something in mind? And then it gets them clicking, right? And that's what we want, where most of the time our websites lack of. So again, this is a great option for that if you guys need something quick or at least integrate it to your website.
Yep. Yeah, good point. Yeah, and I don't really have time to get into, I have another meeting at the top of the hour, but check out the referral links. I've made a lot of referral links. So if you have a website and you're paying for SEO, you can create a link for your calculator and you can create a link for the application form. So you can then have these links, copy these links, give them to your website developer, put them on your website. And then when the clients apply through this website, you'll be able to see, did I get any deals from my website? I'm not. I'm spending X amount of dollars per month. Why aren't I getting any deals from my website? So it's a great way to track your referral partners who's sending you deals. So Sean, the realtor, I can go into here, or this is Todd. I can see the deals that Todd has sent me, right? So it's a great way to track deals. It's a great way to track where you're spending money. to be sure you're not wasting it too.
Yeah, this unique feature for sure, because I know in my previous brokerage I couldn't do this, and we work pretty much only with realtors, and I needed to know which realtor was sending what. I was doing a lot of that manually. So now being able to give them links, again, another game changer feature that's useful in our area.
Yeah.
But being mindful of time, Joe, if you have another meeting, is there anything else you'd like to go over?
No, I'm going to answer Chung's question. He asked a great one. Will there be a way to rename the documents? So what he's referring to is in the document section, a client uploads you, let's say, the two main forms of ID. Let's say Jose uploaded his void check into this condition, and you're like, oh my gosh. You can download it, of course. You can merge and download them, and you can relabel them when you download them. But what I believe you're talking about, Chung, and confirm for me, is to relabel them here, to be able to type in Chung, void check, right, and just label it and save it and be done. That has been raised a number of times. I consistently pushed that. I'm going to take your suggestion, Chung. I'm going to raise it back up again. It is actually near the top of the list of things that are going to get done. We have a lot of things that people request, of course. And this is one of the top ones because I think it's going to create a lot of efficiencies. So I will add your name to the list of people asking for this, and hopefully we can push it through this year. Fingers crossed.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was wondering.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Joe, for your time and sharing all your expertise. Obviously, I love the platform, so I appreciate it, you sharing all your knowledge.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, everyone. And don't forget the chat bubble in Finmo to ask questions, and I put my email in the chat as well. If you want to reach out with something specific, I'll be more than happy to answer it. So thanks again for having me, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll stay on the call for those who want to just kind of keep chatting, but Joe's got another meeting. So if you've got questions, I'll try my best to answer. I'm no Finmo expert, but I do love the platform, and I can share any questions with Joe after as well.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Robin, I see your question here. I'm just going to stop the recording now, but yes, the recording will be shared. So let me just go recording. Stop.